Opened the door and walked in, and the consultant was sitting there, and he turned around, and the first thing he said was, "Are you on your own?" So straight away, I knew we had a problem. He sat me down and told me I had cancer.
Was it that you thought at that moment when he said...
Well, you just panic.
What about health then, in terms of living a healthy life, a healthy lifestyle?
I think your emotional health is unreal important. I think companionship, I think social interaction, I think social engagement is so important. We can have all the material things in the world, but that's not what makes us happy. What really makes you happy is finding problems and solving them. And I think if you can deal with the issues, you will find a purpose and you'll have a fulfilling life.
Bosco, it's great to have you today.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
You've been instrumental in my life as a kid through athletics, but before we talk about any of that, I want to hear about life for you, how it was, and you can bring me back to 1983 when you were a youngster.
Well, 1983, I was 23, so I was working with the health board as environmental health officer. Unfortunately, that year I picked up meningitis around probably May, June. Very ill in hospital. Very ill in Letterkenny Hospital, serious vomiting, serious diarrhea. I do remember at one stage being prayed for by a priest. When I was fit then I was transferred to Dublin, spent 4 weeks in Cherry Orchard, and I convalesced there. I say at the time working as an environmental health officer, and it basically gave me time to take stock and look really where I was going. And I was fairly certain that I just wasn't happy with the direction my work life was taking. So subsequently, I decided to make a change. And it was around that time then that I looked at alternatives. One of the things that I was always interested in was osteopathy. But when I did my leaving in 1977, it was not an option in Ireland. So I went about making inquiries, and eventually, a year and a half, 2 years later, I signed up for training in the College of Osteopath in London in 1985. So I say 1983 would have been a pivotal moment. It made me evaluate my life and determine what my main purpose was. And it certainly wasn't what I was doing. And I say I got into osteopathy, and I've never regretted it since.
Yeah. And at the time, going through what you're going through, very ill, did you feel at any moment that this was it?
I was exceptionally ill, and I basically made a promise to myself, if I made it through this, I was going to change.
Yeah. Did you know what the change was?
It's difficult to say unless you've been in this situation yourself. I'm talking about working for the civil service. I worked in the civil service for 3 years. I was a young fella. I was very idealistic. I wanted to try and do things and change things and wanted to change the world. But that's not how the civil service works.
I know.
So either I was going to change or I had to change. So I decided to change.
But you're also a very fit man as well. Like, I assume you're at the peak of your
I was very fit at the time. I was playing a lot of football, playing senior football with Red Hughes. I think that year we'd actually just won the junior championship, and I was getting a few call-in for the county team. Eventually, 85, I did join the county panel, so I was very fit at the time, really fit and healthy.
So even after being ill, you made it through and got onto the county panel then?
So, 85, I was brought onto the county panel, and my claim to fame with the county panel is I would have won a McKenna Cup medal with Donegal in 1985. We beat Cavan in the final. That was the same year I started college. So I basically had to make a decision then to stay with football or devote my time really to studying in college, which is what I did. So my last game with Red Hughes would have been 1985, and I played for a few months in 1986 for Buncrana. end of 1986. I've never played Gaelic football since. So I retired at the grand old age of 26.
That's a young age to retire, though.
Well, it really was. I had to make a decision one way or the other.
Yeah.
I couldn't do both.
Yeah. I'd say you missed it then.
Not really. If I go back to younger, I was born in Crossroads, Killygarden. We were brought up with Gaelic football and athletics. It really was all we did. I was always, myself and Donald were always pretty good footballers. We were on under 16, under 18, under 21 county teams. But unfortunately, there was a lot of pressure on you at a young age to play football and to do well in football. And at that age, it was all about winning the matches. So from the time I was 25, 26, I'd been playing senior football from 16. So I'd been playing senior football for 10 years at that stage. And I really just had enough.
Yeah. Time for change.
Time for change.
But were you doing athletics through that time as well?
I was doing athletics all that time as well.
What events?
So athletics, I was never a great runner. From a young age, I was always very strong. So shot put was always my event. So at underage, Donald would have been the same. Donald was a very good high jumper, my brother. I would have been playing Gaelic, soccer. We'd have been doing athletics. And we would have had a handball alley at the cross. We all played handball. So we were flat out competing all the time.
Very competitive house then.
Very competitive area. Very, very good athletes there. And it gave us a great ground and a great discipline. And like when we went to play football as children in the cross, there could be 30, 40 young fellas playing football in what we would call Brown's or Roper's backyard at the time. And we played from morning to night. And we loved it.
Yeah. I enjoyed that too, playing as a kid, youngster outside, just playing football every evening, the summer evenings, when there's a good gathering of your cousins.
It was
great
fantastic.
Times, yeah.
Really good times. So say then when it came to stop Gaelic football, I was more than happy to stop at that stage.
Yeah. The handball too. So is that the club Red Hughes or?
No, the handball alley's gone now. There was a local handball alley at the cross. I think the land was actually owned by Benny Brown, so Benny, we allowed to use it. It was an open alley, and just as children, we always played. And summer evenings, the way you played was doubles. So say myself and yourself were playing. So whoever wins the match stays on.
Yeah.
And it went on all night. It went on from 6 in the evening to 12 at night.
Sore-handed, say, after all.
Well, your hand, you played with what's called elephant balls, like little hard balls, and your hand got very strong, very hard.
I played a bit myself.
Did you? Yeah.
Through Manus O'Donnell.
Oh yeah, man. We would have known. Man, we would have been very competitive with Manus.
Manus had me in everything. Great man, I have to say. Great man for the school whenever he's in there, But there's not a huge amount of people that play it in Donegal.
Very few. Now, I say the handball alley at the cross is gone. They have one in Glenfin. They have one in McCool's. I don't really know if there's any others.
None down in Ashone, I know.
But we would have grown up with it. Yeah. And they came from all over to play. Yeah. We loved it.
That's good.
And Manus was up there quite a few times. Yeah. And again, we would have known Manus through the hurling, because I played hurling as well.
That's way Satanta?
Before Satanta, believe it or not. So my era is I was doing athletics before Finn Valley started.
Who was that with?
With Lifford. So we competed with Lifford in 1970. Finn Valley was founded in 71. And we would have played for Crossroads. So Crossroads were a local underage team. We played senior football with Robert Emmets, but there was no Red Hughes that time. Right, I don't think Red Hughes was founded until 1980-81.
Right.
So we had our own little parochial team.
Very good. So I know Robert Emmetson's Castlefin.
Robert Emmetson's Castlefin. So we would have went to play Castlefin. We would have played underage with Cross. We would have played senior football with Robert Emmets.
And the hurling then would have been?
The hurling, there was no Satanta then. I think it was just Crossroads. The Satanta came then after that.
Right.
So I think Satanta was formed, I'm going to say around 1979, 1980 as well.
Right.
So I think when Red Hughes was formed, I think Satanta was formed around the same time. But Satanta wasn't purely local, because we would have had players from McCool's as well played with us.
Very good.
So Eamon Farrell and them, and God rest him, Big Martin Griffin played for the county. He played with us in hurling. So we were massive rivals now with Burt down here.
Yeah. It's mad. I didn't think that they were as young, like Satanta.
I'll have to check now, because I say I stopped playing hurling when I was 16, 17, Because I was playing senior football for Robert Emmet at the time, and I was playing senior soccer with Core Athletic at the time.
Jesus.
And I was on a very, very good Donegal youth team, soccer team, with Packy Boner and Paul McLaughlin. All those guys played for Finn Harps. So we had a fantastic underage team.
Jesus.
Donegal team.
Packy too.
Oh, Packy was fantastic, Packy.
Yeah.
And Packy, believe it or not, wasn't the Donegal number one goalkeeper. It was Declan McIntyre at the time. It was between Decky McIntyre and Packy for number one.
Very good. I always feel like, though, a lot of time athletes, the ones who are not the best through their youth, are the ones who are they're building.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I could not agree more.
I had this conversation with my ma there yesterday.
Yeah.
And I suppose my point of view on it is like, when you have ground ahead of you, there's always that, like, you know that you can progress, but when you're at the top, it's like, it's a different mentality that you have to, like, try and stay on top, you know?
Yeah, well, I think you can get used to winning at too young an age, and then you play sport to win rather than to compete and enjoy it. And I think if you don't get that real winning mentality earlier on, and they're used to competing and doing your best, I think you progress better as the years come on.
Yeah, well, speaking from my own experience, like in athletics,
yes.
you know, I won fairly good underage as a youth.
Yes.
But then when I wasn't winning, it was such a shock to the system.
It's very difficult.
I didn't even know how to deal with it, like, you know, and there's a, like, am I not good enough? And there is them thoughts, like, I'm not good enough now. If I'm not winning, I'm not good enough. You know, you have to be winning.
You were putting your value with the winning rather than competing and doing your best.
Yeah.
Now, I would have had a similar experience, because when we were young, we had a very good football team and we were very competitive and we were used to winning. But then as you got older, it got more difficult.
Yeah.
And when you weren't winning, didn't sit very well.
No, and maybe it's more related to, like, individual sports, because it's solo too, and you're on that.
Yes.
And when a team, you kind of can win and lose together. You have each other. It's different, you know. But, like, I loved athletics, and I love the environment too. But now I love watching it. But the thought of competing, I couldn't.
Well, what I would be saying to you there now is, you need to enjoy sport. You go out and do your best, and prepare as best you can for your event, and follow the process. Do your best and take what comes. Very often you'll do exceptionally well, but sometimes you won't.
Yeah. It takes a lot of work. Athletics, that's a tough sport.
Yes,
running. But you helped form part of the Finn Valley Club in Buncrana. That's kind of how I came across you when I was a kid.
Yeah, my story there was, when I was, let's say, 23, I was quite ill with meningitis. I wasn't able to compete, and Patsy McGonigal, which we're both very familiar with, Patsy approached me and asked me would I coach local athletes in lacrosse, which I said I would, yes. So I coached them for maybe 5-6 months, because I was convalescing at home, and they did quite well in cross country. And then when I moved back to work in Buncrana here, he asked me the same thing, would I coach some local ones. But at that stage, very good man in Sculwara, Frank Rogers, Frank, Rona, Doherty, Joe Quinn, they set up a small club called Crana Athletic. So we had a young underage team in Buncrana, and we competed very well. So that would have been where you came along.
Right.
Around that time.
I didn't know there was a Crana Athletic.
There was a Crana Athletic, so you would have originally joined that group.
Right.
Now, regardless of what happened then, unfortunately, is that when you have quite talented young athletes then, they were moved on to Finn Valley.
Right.
Which is what happened in your case. But there would have been a local underage club in Buncrana. And we were all very, like I say, I was very young at the time. I was only 23, 24 at the time. And Frank Rogers was the PE teacher in the school. Joey Fullerton was also involved. So we had a very successful club for 3-4 years in Buncrana. But we struggled to get the parents involved. We really struggled. And eventually the club just died out.
Right. I think times changed now. It seems parents are so involved.
It's completely different now.
What's changed in, say, 20 years?
I think now parents are more invested in their children. I think then the children were just simply dropped off, and I won't say we babysat them, but we probably did babysit them for 2 hours, and then they were collected. Now the clubs are really asking the parents to become involved, and with child protection now they have to become involved. So at our age group, we would have to do child protection courses and coaching courses before we'd be allowed to coach children. Now the parents are involved. So at that stage, that wasn't available.
Yeah, it's different times, but it's great to see.
Fantastic to see.
I love to see that there's so many parents, like young games as well. There's kids playing football, Gaelic. I haven't seen much athletics, but I assume that it's much the same, like, you know.
Well, it's a double-edged sword. Like, I think it's great that the parents are involved and they're going to the events with it. But unfortunately, some parents can get very emotionally involved at times. And
maybe very, 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 very.
Especially in football. And like I've experienced it myself. And sometimes it's not the best thing for the person playing. Sometimes you're better to be there and just let them get on with it and encourage them.
I know, because some kids can be very timid too, and they're probably like, "Oh, Jesus."
Yes,
you know, because it's only kids at the end of the day.
They're only children.
I know.
They're only children. So I say I would be very much of the philosophy that really at a certain age, children should compete, but there really shouldn't be prizes, and it shouldn't be all about winning. It should be partaking. Like I compete now in powerlifting, and when you go to a powerlifting meet now, all age groups compete together from 14 up, my age 65. But everyone who competes in a powerlifting meet, everyone gets a medal, and everyone gets the same medal.
Yeah.
There is a first, second, third, but there's no gold, silver, and bronze. Everyone gets the same medal.
Yeah.
And I would massively be encouraging something like that for children.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we should be dividing them into winners and losers at a very, very early age.
Right. Yeah, but I suppose first of all, it's probably good to have winners and not necessarily losers.
Well,
you know what I mean? But it is important that how do you bring the kids along that it's important to partake in sport, because I do believe that sport is so important to life, as in like to bring people together, brings communities together.
Yeah.
But also a lot of kids then will struggle because maybe that sport's not for them. You know,
yes.
So they might see themselves as a loser, but are they a loser, or maybe they just haven't found the right sport?
Well, that's the benefit of athletics. Like, you have long distance, you have middle distance, you have the sprints, you have the jumps, you have the throws, you've got the walking. There's pretty much something there for everyone. Like, when I did athletics, I was mildly asthmatic as a child, and I was never a great runner. But after a few years of the cross country, I was introduced to the throws, and I loved the throws. So there is an event there for everyone. In the rugby and Gaelic, you probably have the same. Like, there's room there for pretty much everyone, big, small, large, medium, whatever. Maybe the football, not so much so, more skill-based. But I know from my own personal experience and from people I've talked to over the years, especially young girls, the competitive element, it sort of puts them off sport after a certain age. After 13, 14, 15, there is a very high dropout rate. Now, maybe that's just at that age.
Yeah. Girls' sport has become more popular too.
Absolutely, which is great to see.
The GAA too.
Which is great to see.
Like, I can only know my local club, Burt, they're flying underage. So many teams for the girls as well.
Yes.
And again, 20 years ago,
not available.
It was two or three girls on the team, if even. Like,
well, the Donegal County team, the GA team, they're very successful, and they've some very good club teams. And my own daughter Laura now, they have started up a girls soccer team in Buchanan, so she's joined again this year.
Very good.
So they're competing now. A couple of little tournaments this last few Monday nights, which is great to see. The underage teams are doing very well. So fantastic to see it, and the facilities are also there. So there's good facilities now pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially around Inishowen here. It's done very well.
Yeah, it is. Sports been probably one of the most important pillars in my life, and I went away from it in my 20s. But when I came back to it in the last few years, I realised how much I missed it. How
Yes.
how good it was for me, you know. But I think when we do get a little bit older, we do kind of fall away from it. Or I
Yeah.
did anyway, but I fell away from because I started to go out, you know, and then there's just drinking the weekends,
Yeah.
and you take your time away from it. But when I got back into it, I realized how much I missed. It's that being in a team, celebrating together, losing
Yes.
together,
Yes.
that community feeling, and just supporting and encouraging each other. You know, it's like that tribe
Yeah,
feeling.
the tribe feeling, the team ethos is very, very important, and it's very empowering. So I see that I would be massively encouraging everyone to partake in sport, and I think mass participation, it is achievable. I just feel that at the underage, the highly competitive nature of it does put a lot of people off. Now, I think when you get a bit older, like for example, this year the Waterside Half Marathon was on there in September, and they had record numbers this year. 3,800 took place, took part in it. Like, that's a lot. And the lottery's just finished yesterday for the Dublin Marathon. They have 25,000, and they went in 2 days. There's a waiting list to get in.
Yeah.
So I think, as I say, if you build it, they will come. I think if the facilities are there and the correct event is there, like the sport now that's dominating the world at the minute is high rocks.
Yeah.
And like they had a competition there in Dublin 3-4 weeks ago, which I was hoping to compete in. And I think they had about 10,000 competitors.
Jesus.
You know, that's an awful lot of people.
High Rocks has grown
That's
so
massive.
fast. I've done a wee bit of it, and I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Because it's everyone could do it. I mean, it's
Everyone
you come
can
in,
do
there's
it.
a level
It's
that's
very difficult, but everyone can do it.
Exactly. And there's good crack. You
Best
get a
of fun.
buzz.
Best
you know?
of fun,
And I think
yeah.
that's probably why is people are enjoying themselves.
Yes.
You know, that's why it's growing. I assume.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's available to everyone. But also, if you do complete a high rocks, there's a great sense of achievement.
Yeah.
You know, it's like doing your first marathon. I have never any intention of doing a marathon, but it's like you're doing your first marathon. There's must be a fantastic sense of achievement.
Yeah.
And I think high rocks is something similar.
But not everyone, I suppose someone can look after themselves very well, like you, and you've had many challenges.
Yes.
Have you ever questioned, like, why? You know, someone who's so fit and healthy.
Yeah.
And
Right.
because it's not just meningitis you've had.
Right. So there's a fantastic book out recently called Outlive. It's basically about longevity by a guy called Dr. Peter Attia. And he gives a number of factors that predict longevity, long life. And two of the factors that he uses, and the studies have shown this, one would be grip strength. So if your grip strength is quite strong and quite good, it does generally indicate you will have a reasonably long shelf life. And the second one is actually your VO2 max. So VO2 max is your cardiovascular fitness. So unfortunately, really from I stopped playing Gaelic football around 26 until probably his last 10 years, I did very little anaerobic training. I did very little running, very little jogging. It was all gym-based. It was all strength-based. So I would blame a lot of that I would blame it for a lot of my health challenges. Basically, I didn't have balance in my training. So I did have a heart issue in 2019, and subsequent to that, with the okay from my specialist, I started to do park runs. So I started Parkrun in March 2017, and it's probably the best thing I've ever done. You're doing a 5K walk or jog, or walk and jog, every Saturday morning at 9:30 in a non-competitive environment with another group of people, probably 60 to 70 people, and it massively improves your fitness and health. And I say I would do that now probably every 3 out of 4 Saturdays, and I really enjoy it.
Yes.
That was missing previously.
Was there any reason why you weren't, say, doing that kind of exercise?
Pure laziness. Pure laziness.
It wasn't because you didn't like it?
Well,
because you done a lot of running as soon as a youngster. Like,
I did cross country as a child. I never liked it. I never liked cross country. The running, the mud, the cold, the rain.
Oh, don't chat
I just never took to it. Whereas once I started doing weights when probably 14, 15, and I loved the gym. So that would be, my passion would be weight training.
Yeah.
And shot put. So I've always loved that. But now that I've started doing a bit of jogging, I've really taken to it and I really enjoy it.
You see that, well, going back to the cross country, like so many nights in Finn Valley, through the muck. I remember going in the shower and your hands were ice cold.
You're frozen.
Stinging,
You're frozen.
Sting toes.
Yes.
But there was something good about that. And it says, like, you know, I don't know, maybe the mental resilience of going out and running in the rain and in the muck, and the muck is thick, you know.
Well, you're back to caveman stuff, you know. It's real basic instincts.
I can't say I'd want to do it again, you know. But I think that's put me away from running so much because I've done so much of it as a youngster. And my relationship with running I find it hard to go for a run and enjoy it. Because when I go for a run, there's that mentality of, oh, I need to do better. I need to go faster. You know, I struggle with that. But anyways, not to get back to that, but that's kind of the way I see it now. So my fitness now is kind of, I don't mind playing Gaelic because I'm running. It's a different kind of, I'm thinking in a different way. It's, you know, but yeah, it's like, I think sometimes your relationship with something can sour.
Yes.
You know? Sounds like maybe that was you, you know, but yeah. But
well, that'd be like me with the Gaelic football. I say I was playing Gaelic football from 12 years of age, very, very competitive, really up until I was 25, 26. And it was high-level stuff all the time. You know, we had a very good underage team, so we were always competing in county finals and county semi-finals. And I think it just wears you down eventually.
Yeah. Did you play, say, like Donald? I assume, I'm not sure which is older, but you sort of close in age.
Yeah, I'm a year older. I'm the oldest.
Yes.
Donald's a year younger than me.
Yes.
So I would have played in the minor team for a few years. I would have played on a very good under-21 team. Team that Donald played in under-21s in 1982. They won the first All-Ireland ever for Donegal in 1982. I played in 1981 and we got beaten in the Ulster final by Cavan. We were beaten by a few points. It was a very good team. It was just different times.
Yeah.
And that subsequent team then, that 82 under-21 team, they were a superb team. So that's basically the team eventually came through to win the All-Ireland in 92. Yes. That was basically pretty much all the same players.
Yeah, and now you say that was 10 years later, so they would have been into their 30s?
They were into the 30s. That team really probably should have won an All-Ireland earlier on. And that time in 1983 that I was ill in Dublin with meningitis, Donegal won Ulster that year, and they played Galway in the All-Ireland final, or All-Ireland semi-final, and they got beaten by a few points by Galway. They easily could have won that season. And then they didn't get back again until 1989, I think it was. And I think subsequently Meath beat them. Meath beat them a couple of times, and Meath won the All-Ireland both times. So they were very close a few times.
Yeah. Could have been a possibility. You could have been on that team if you kept playing.
I could have been on the panel if I had kept playing, but I was a good footballer, but I wasn't at that level. Those boys were exceptionally good. Yeah, I knew my place at that stage.
It's a big commitment too. I do admire county players, you know. They're like professional athletes, you know.
They're very, very talented footballers, but they're also exceptionally committed. They're very, very committed. Like Donald I think it is true. I think in 10 years of marriage, the first 10 years, I think he had Sunday dinner twice at home.
Jesus.
In 10 years.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot to put up with there.
Yes, there's a lot there.
So back to the health. So I know you had the meningitis. You also, you know, you had prostate cancer too.
Yes. So at the meningitis 1983, subsequently moved, changed career. In 2009, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Now, the story on that was I was 49 at that stage. My father had previously had prostate cancer and had an uncle who also had prostate cancer. My father, unfortunately, subsequently died from the prostate cancer. So my doctor, who was Dr. O'Donnell, thought it was a good idea that he would check my PSA, which is prostate-specific antigen. So it's an indicator of an abnormality with the prostate. It could be an infection, it could be an enlargement, or it could be an indication of cancer. So every year from the age of 40 on, he recommended I come in and get a blood test done, which we did. And in 1989, it was slowly starting to rise. It was nothing major. The the recommended level is below 4. Mine at that stage had gone up to 5.8, which wasn't massively high, but it was rising. He recommended I go and get a biopsy, get it checked. I said, yeah, sure, I will do it, no problem. And I completely forgot about it. I had no symptoms, no issue at all. I met him walking home from work one afternoon, and I said, did you ever go and get that checked out? And I had to confess I didn't. So that weekend, and I organised an appointment. I went to Galway and had a biopsy done. I had 6 biopsies done, and one of them showed up a small tumour. In Galway, they don't give you the results there and then. So I went back to Letterkenny Hospital. I honestly thought I had nothing to worry about. I had absolutely no symptoms, no signs of anything at all. I arranged for Sheila to come up with me to Letterkenny, and I said, you can go shopping and I'll go in now and get these results. So I opened the door and walked in, and the consultant was sitting there, and he turned around, and the first thing he said was, are you on your own? So straight away, I knew we had a problem. He sat me down and told me I had cancer. And the flood of emotion and thoughts go through your head. You just don't process the information at all.
What was it that you thought at that moment when he said?
Well, you just panic.
Yeah.
It's just pure panic. You just think, cancer, I'm going to die. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to my wife and children? You know, everything goes through your head. I really struggled for a few days. Our health services and our services for cancer here in Ireland and Donegal are superb. I contacted the Irish Cancer Association, and they put me in touch with a counsellor. I made an appointment and in Letterkenny, went in to see the counsellor the following week, and the counsellor sat me down and I talked through it. The counsellor didn't give me any advice, just listened to me and basically just give me back my own thoughts. And I processed the information and really had a couple of sessions, and from that I never looked back. So I got my head organised and processed it. And one of the things that I was most worried about was actually dying from the cancer. When I spoke to the counsellor, I gave her all the information and say, once I started to speak about it, after the second session, I basically realised myself what my problem was. In 1983, I had a cartilage operation on my knee from a football injury. I went into Sligo, had the surgery done, and I had a bad reaction to anaesthetic. In the back of my mind, I was told that I would have to have surgery for the prostate. In the back of my mind, this fear was still in my head that if I had to go underneath anaesthetic again, I would probably die from the anaesthetic. It wasn't the cancer, it was the anaesthetic. I discussed this with my consultant, and he put me in touch with an anaesthetist. An anaesthetist came in and discussed it all with me, and he basically said, look, you had a reaction to anaesthetic, you're almost certainly giving you too much. He said, I promise you that will not happen again. And I remember as well, I was taken to Galway for the surgery. He came in to see me before the surgery, and he says, look, you'll be fine, there'll be no problem. And I didn't know they do this, and it's probably not common knowledge, but if you have a nervous patient, they put a certain colour hat on your head.
Right.
You
were the nervous patient, were you?
I was the nervous patient.
That surprises me.
I was really worried about the anaesthetic. So
fair enough, yeah.
Going down to the surgery, the trolleys are there, so there were 5 or 6 trolleys in a row, and everyone had on a blue cap on them, a surgical hat, but mine was pink. So, and he explained it to me after that is what to do with a nervous patient. So he was very careful with me. He, as I say, he reassured me, went on to the anaesthetic, and the next thing I remember, I was sitting up in bed a few hours later, no problem at all. And with 5 minutes, I was able to drink a cup of tea and eat toast.
But when the doctor told you initially, they didn't say, well, what kind of result that was going to be? They say you could live, or it was kind of
no,
it was kind of unknown.
Yeah, well, it was unknown at that stage. So you're basically told that you've got prostate cancer and that you will need further investigations. Now, I'm assuming you don't know a lot about prostate cancer.
I don't.
Right. So it's actually quite an invasive thing. What happened? Your prostate is basically behind your penis, in front of your rectum. So the only way they can get a biopsy is they have to go up through your rectum, and if they penetrate the wall, they basically have to tear through the wall, and then they have to nip part of the prostate off. With some people, they take nine incisions. I had 6. So what you do is to take 6 nips off. It's exceptionally painful, and you bleed quite a lot afterwards.
So when you say painful, though, I assume you're not feeling it during the operation.
You feel no. This is during the biopsy.
Okay.
So this is the initial biopsy.
Okay.
So they do give you local anaesthetic, but it's only a local anaesthetic. You can feel everything.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, you can feel everything. So they take the biopsies then and they analyse those. So from one of the biopsies, they detected a small tumour. Now, it was very small. So then they have to work it out on what they call a Gleason score. So the highest score you can have is 12. So that's bad. You don't want a 12. So it's normally 3 plus 3 or 3 plus 4 or 4 plus 4. So my Gleason score was 6. So that's 3 plus 3, which means it was the very, very early stages. So because of my doctor's diligence, we were doing the blood test. I detected it very early. So the next stage then with any type of cancer is they have to find out, has it spread? So then they arrange for MRI scans to see has it spread to your bones, which mine hadn't. And then they have to check your bladder.
So over what period of time is this?
This happens. I was diagnosed in May and I had my surgery at the end of October. So this is all done within 2-3 month period.
So that's kind of an unsettling period for you.
Oh,
then?
it's very.
You don't know where it's going.
It's very unsettling, and you're praying that it hasn't spread. That's what you're really praying for. It's not that you can't treat it. It's just that if it hasn't spread, it's easier to treat it, and you have better options. So they have to check your bladder. Now, I've actually never told anyone this story, so it's. The only way not the only way, but one of the ways to check your bladder is they have a probe. It's like a catheter. It's a camera on the end of it. And they put it up through your penis into your bladder, and then you can look around the inside of the bladder. So I had that done in Letterkenny, and again, there were no secondaries there. There was no spread. So all my news was very good. So then you see the consultant again. When all results are collated, you're then given options. You can do what they call watchful waiting, which is basically just wait and see what happens, which I don't know why we would do that, but that's one of the options. Your best option then is a thing called brachytherapy, whereas they insert radioactive pellets into your prostate around the tumour, and they basically radiate the tumour from the inside. That's what I had subsequently done. The third option then is actually to remove the prostate and a lot of the surrounding structures. That would be quite common. So if the tumour is just within the prostate and hasn't penetrated the margins, you have all 3 options. If it's penetrated the margins, everything has to come out. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the recommendation for me was brachytherapy. I'm quite a conservative person, so I like to check things out. So I went and had another consultation with another specialist in a different hospital, and he recommended the exact same thing. So I went in at the end of October and had the brachytherapy, and it was, to me, a complete success.
Mm. Is do you have any data or numbers on prostate cancer, like how common or prevalent it is with men?
Well, prostate cancer and breast cancer would be 2 of the most common cancers in people. Breast in women, obviously, but also in some men. Prostate would be the most common cancer in men. It is one, I wouldn't have any data or figures, but it's the one that is easiest treated if you get it early. Yeah. It is very, very common. Like, I would play a bit of golf here in Northwest, and within the golf club itself, I would know at least 4 other people who've had prostate cancer. So it's quite common.
Yeah. And what's generally the best way to kind of keep an eye on it?
PSA. So your PSA is your blood test. The recommendation is the PSA should only be started from 50 on. I say my doctor started from 40 on, hence I picked mine up at 49. But really, and I have said this to numerous men, I've said it to my brothers, I've said it to friends and family, get your PSA checked, especially from 50 on. Early detection will probably save your life. It really will probably save your life. And it is very common.
Yeah. It's not as common, say, obviously, my age group,
No.
30, but
No.
is it something that men in the 30s should check out or be just let till they go to their 50s?
Now, I could be completely wrong here, but I'm almost certain they read this somewhere. I think if you live long enough, we're all going to have prostate issues if we live long enough. It is an organ or gland at the base of the penis, and it just gives trouble as you get older. And as you get older, your PSA level naturally goes up. It is generally not a problem with younger men.
Yeah.
So it's really from that age 50 on.
Yeah.
But I say I'm not a medical expert in regards to cancer, but I say my doctor, we started checking from 40 on, and I'm really glad that he did.
Yeah. I do want to get into your notes in a bit, but it's
course.
something crossed my mind. There was when I was chatting to you, I think last week, I says, answered how's things, and he said, "You're living the dream."
Yes.
It's something I admire when I hear people say that, but I'd like to know your perspective on, why you say you're living the dream, because I think sometimes people think living the dream is living a great life, but
no.
Yeah, but like, what's your view on that?
Again, I read a lot of books and watch a lot of videos now. So there's a fantastic book again out at the moment. It's in the bestsellers list in New York, and I hope I can say this. It's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That's the name of the book.
Mark?
Yes.
Ronson? Is it not Ronson? Mark
Ronson, yeah.
Is it Mark Ronson?
Now, basically what he says, and he comes to the hypothesis, that we can have all the material things in the world, but that's not what makes us happy. What really makes you happy is finding problems and solving them. We all have issues. It's how you deal with issues. And I'm very much of that ilk. The obstacle is the way we're confronted with problems. We all have issues. Some of us have bigger issues than others. Some people that you might envy and you think they have a great life, but you don't know what's going on in their own lifestyle. But we have issues, and you just have to deal with them as best you can. And I think if you can deal with the issues, I think you will find a purpose and you'll have a fulfilling life. I say, when I was ill in 1983, I had a very good job at the health board. I had a pensionable job, very good salary. I really just did not like the job. And when I got ill, I said, this is not what I want to do. I decided to retrain as an osteopath. I went over and back to London for 5.5, 6 years. I found a purpose, and I now love my work. I don't regret it for a day. And I say that's 35 years ago, and it's probably the best decision I've ever made.
You mentioned purpose there.
Yeah.
How important is someone to have purpose in their life, or even knowing what their purpose is?
I think that is a big problem with most people, that they don't have a purpose. I don't want to pontificate to other people what your purpose should be. Your purpose might be to be the best runner, the best athlete, the best footballer, the best osteopath, the best housewife. It doesn't really matter. Have the best family. I think if you have a purpose, I think you've got direction and you've got goals, and you'll meet challenges head on and hopefully overcome them.
And I couldn't agree more. Like, having a purpose could be just simply being a housewife or being a mother or being a father.
Absolutely.
But having that direction, because a lot of time, if people don't, there's that cycle of like probably depression or of not knowing where they're going in life, But I'm one for that too. Is like, why do you do what you do, And are you happy with what you're doing, ultimately?
Well, like I work as an osteopath, and I see a lot of patients, and I've met a lot of people over the years. Now, probably the people that I admire most would be carers in the home. Like Ireland and Donegal particularly, there's pretty much every second house there's a carer. I think those people who do it for minimum wage and provide fantastic care for family members or for friends or for the elderly or for handicapped or special needs, I think they're superb. And the purpose that they're fulfilling, money, you just couldn't put a price on it.
Yeah. So true. Nurses are amazing
Fantastic,
people. Yeah.
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, anytime you're ill, like it's
Yeah.
just that touch, isn't it?
Absolutely, they're fantastic. They really are good. They're caring people. They're very professional, and they know what life's about. They know kind of a bit of fun at the same time.
Mm. What about health then, in terms of living a healthy life, a healthy lifestyle?
Yes. So the recommendations for let's go with fitness first. Okay, so the recommendation for the average adult would be 150 to 160 minutes cardiovascular exercise per week. So that's basically walking, cycling, swimming, or something similar. And then for all adults, they'd be recommending 2 resistance sessions per week. So that would be Pilates, weight training, rebounding, something similar to that. I think if you can do that, you will be reasonably fit and healthy. Now, when we were taught in college, like I went to College of Osteopaths, which also teaches naturopathy, we were taught also that your emotional and your spiritual health are also very important. Now, I would be quite a spiritual person myself. Not everyone is spiritual, but I am, and I find it a massive comfort and help to be, especially in troubled times. I think your emotional health is unreal important, and not enough credence and not enough thought is being given to the emotional health. I think companionship, I think social interaction, I think social engagement is so important. I think it needs to be pushed more.
Mm. You mentioned spiritual there too. That's
Yes.
something that I feel very spiritual
Yes.
too, you know, and I don't even think I can define it, but it's like, it's having a relationship with something that's much greater
Yes.
than me. And that can be a God, that can be anything. It's just,
Yes.
I'm just a micro in
Yeah.
the macro,
Yes.
you know, but it's also like knowing that everything will be okay, you
Yeah.
know, and everything that comes my way is here to teach me something. So it's not that, why me? Like, why is this happening to me? You know, I mean, I've been there in the past, but when you realize actually that that's for you, you know, and that's your
Yes.
responsibility or my responsibility to actually fucking grab the bull by the horns
Yeah.
and deal with it head on, you become more resilient. I did anyway.
I
Learned
think
more,
you do, yeah.
Teaches you more.
I think you become more resilient, but I think you also become more grounded in that, like both my parents passed away. Like, I can't feel that that's just that they're gone and they no longer exist or their being no longer exist. I firmly believe that they do. And I feel the same for family members and friends that have passed away. I still feel a connection to them. I think that this physical manifestation that we have here, I think there has to be more to it than that.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. So this is my belief is I see Earth, like this dimension,
Yes.
as an experience for our souls. So our souls come here to experience. So our souls exist before we're born.
Yeah.
It's like we come in here, and I don't think we come in and come out. I think it's like a part of our soul is in the body, but also our soul is existing outside this body. You know, so it's like we're in here, we're learning, and then we're out, and then we're God knows what, maybe another life, you know, maybe another dimension, you know. But I'm open to all possibilities.
Yes.
I don't like to think from the human rational mind, because the human mind's so minute in such a fucking
in the greater
vast,
scheme. In the
yeah,
greater
you
scheme,
know.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
The emotional health. So again, I just share something that I would share with pretty much all of my patients. So one of the questions that I'd ask all my patients would be, how's your sleep pattern? How are you sleeping? So the science is really good on this. Basically, with sleep, there will be 4 stages of sleep. The first 2 stages are defined as light sleep. So basically, that's where the body's relaxing and settling down. The third stage then in sleep will be what they call deep sleep. And that's where all the good things happen. That's where the body produces hormones, particularly growth hormone, that physically repairs the body. The final stage of sleep then is called REM sleep. So that'll be defined as rapid eye movement. And rapid eye movement is where the conscious thoughts are laid down in the computer in the brain, but also it's where emotional healing takes place. So your deep sleep will be your physical healing, and your REM sleep will be considered emotional healing. And a sign of good emotional healing will be, do you have dreams? You don't need to remember your dreams, but would your dreams be vivid? So it would be considered very healthy if you're having dreams, especially vivid dreams. Now, most people can't remember their dreams. I can't. But if you're having nice, vivid dreams, it's generally an indication that you're emotionally healing.
Mm.
And sleep is a serious problem.
Yeah.
A lot of people do not have good sleep patterns.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Do you mind going off on a wee tangent here?
Go ahead,
so, like the dreams themselves, vivid dreams. So,
yes,
dreams are kind of real when you're in them.
Absolutely.
You know, and I look at them as kind of it's another life.
Yes.
You know, while you're asleep, it's you're experiencing a life while that's real. But I think when you have vivid dreams, I had a really powerful dream 2 nights ago.
That's very healthy.
Yeah, well, what I had it was me and my auntie, and we were in this courtyard, 4 walls, and this tiger came running down a tree and jumped into the courtyard to attack me and her. Now, my auntie's, she has cancer. She's had cancer for 5 years, so she's she's really strong.
Yes.
And the tiger was walking around, and the initial thought was to run, but I stood up the tiger and I was like shouting, I was like, ah,
good,
but the tiger was just walking around, and my auntie, she was firing stuff at it. The tiger ran away, but it was just a dream. But in that moment, that was real.
Yes.
And I stood up the tiger, but the feeling I had waking up from that was real. Like I just stood up the tiger, But you're talking about emotional healing. That was like very healing for me.
That's a very positive experience. That's exceptionally positive.
Yeah.
And again, the way the dreams work is you just don't go from deep sleep to REM sleep, and then that's it. It works in probably about 90-minute cycles. So you would go light, deep, REM, then you would go again, light, deep, REM. So the cycles would keep going, and the more cycles you can go through, the more positive it is.
Yeah.
Very, very, very powerful stuff.
Yeah. I only learned that recently. The 90-minute cycle.
Yes.
Like maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah, people think that you just go from A to Z. No, you go in cycles.
But I thought, I'm waking up every 3 hours that I'm not sleeping well.
But that's fine.
That was the 2 cycles.
That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but when I learned that, then I was like grand, But I also noticed as well, Bosco, I kind of sleep with the weather. I would say the weather. Yeah. The movement of the planet. So like the winter time now, I'll tend to lie on more in the morning, because it's dark in the morning.
Yeah.
It feels more natural for me to lie on until I see kind of light. Yeah, whereas in the summertime, I want to be up when it's bright.
But it's a natural cycle not to hibernate in the winter.
It is, but humans are not like... We've applied a different system.
With all these artificial lights and all these iPads and all this blue light.
I know, yeah.
So we're massively messing with the circadian rhythm.
Yeah. So we should kind of be that, like, embrace our human nature, which is to kind of go with the cycle of the planet.
Embrace nature.
Yeah.
Embrace nature. Like, may God forbid, but what do the animals do when they're old? They go and lie down and sleep. They take it easy.
Yeah.
They don't pump themselves full of X, Y, and Z.
No, I know. Well, actually, on that topic, so you have suffered from cholesterol too, isn't it?
Cholesterol, yes. So, unfortunately, I do as I say, not as I do. I have a sweet tooth, so my diet would not be the best. We would have a family history of slightly high cholesterol, and probably about 20 years ago, my cholesterol levels were over the recommended dose. Doctor recommended statins, so I went on statins for approximately 2.5 years. I had a terrible reaction to the statins. I had aches and pains, I had low energy, I had skin rashes, I had dry eyes, I had irritability. We changed the statins, we changed the dose, but still I had the same effects. On my recommendation, not the doctor's, I discussed it with the doctor, I came off the statins. So I was probably off the statins 10, 12 years. I went every year still for my cholesterol check. I went every January for a health check, and I had particularly my cardiovascular health checked. On the 6th of January 2019, I went down, I remember it as well, I went down for a doctor's appointment and I had an ECG done, I had my cholesterol checked, I had my blood pressure checked, and I was given a cardiovascular rating of 6%. In other words, the chances of something happening in my heart were 6%, which were very low. So that was around, I think, the 6th of January. Out walking towards the end of January, I think it was around the 18th, 19th of January, I started to get a tightness in my chest. I just put it down to a cold because I thought I had a cold at the time. I rang for a doctor's appointment and eventually got one on the Saturday morning. Went in the Saturday morning and the doctor sent me straight to casualty. Went in, did an ECG, everything was clear. But on my blood test, how they diagnose a heart attack is from a protein called troponin. If you have a heart event, your troponin level is normally 600 to 1,000. My troponin level was 27, which indicated that something minor had happened, but nothing too serious. I was referred for an angiogram to Galway. So I went to Galway, had the angiogram done, and it turned out that one of my main arteries to my heart was completely blocked. You have two main arteries, your left coronary artery and your right coronary artery. Your right coronary artery is important, but it's not life-threatening. The left coronary artery is called the widowmaker. So if that blocks, you're almost certainly going to have a catastrophic event. Thank God mine was the right one which was blocked. So you're having the angiogram. They put a dye in through your vein in your wrist. You can see it on the screen. You can see where the blockage is. And the specialist goes in then with the probe, and you can literally see him probing the blockage and pushing it through. And then he goes in with a little stent. So he put in a double stent, and he just opens up the blockage and keeps it open. I was under a specialist in Galway, so after the stent was inserted, I went back a few weeks later for an appointment and was told everything was fine, everything was clear. I'd be on medication, so I now have to take a statin for the rest of my life and aspirin for the rest of my life to prevent any further clots. So I asked her why, if I was so fit and healthy, and I thought I was, why did I have this cardiac event? And she simply said, the reason you had it is because you've stopped taking your statins. If you'd been taking your statins, that would not have happened. You're a very lucky man. Take your statins. So I'm not telling people to take their statins. I'm just telling you what happened to me.
Yeah. It's kind of a case-by-case basis then.
Statins are very controversial.
Yeah.
They're very controversial.
Why so controversial?
They do cause side effects. Now, January last year, so January this year, 2015, I decided to come off my statins again. So I ran out of statins and I said, right, I'm going to come off them for a month, see how I feel. I never felt better. Never felt better. I felt fantastic. I went and I competed in the Irish Masters indoor, and I had a personal best. I haven't thrown as well in probably about 5 years. Week later, I went and had my cholesterol check. My cholesterol had gone back up again.
That's
within a month, yeah.
What? Wow.
So I went down, had my cholesterol checked. My cholesterol is normally around 4.1, 4.2. It was back up to 5.8. The doctor, Paul Van Dessel, rang me and I said, what's the story with your statins? He knew I was off the statins.
Yeah.
I said, no, it's okay. I'm back on them again.
Jesus.
So within a month, I went back up again.
That's mad. Why so soon? It couldn't be in your diet so soon.
It wasn't my diet, no. It wasn't. So it would be hereditary. So right. Unfortunately, I suffer from slightly high cholesterol. Again, a lot of studies and a lot of experts were saying it has no relation to cardiac events. Am I willing to take that chance? I don't think so.
What age would you kind of need to become aware of that, or start at least checking out?
Or from any age.
Even now,
or from any age.
I'm 35.
And do you know what your cholesterol level?
Clue. I haven't thought about it.
Well, I would highly recommend you get it done. So if you go normal cholesterol, I get mixed up in figures. I do need to check them. I think normal cholesterol is meant to be 5. Okay, so if your cholesterol is 4.2, 4.3, not a big deal. If it's 5.2, 5.3, you could probably reduce that with diet. The highest my cholesterol ever was 6.2. Yep. That's the highest it ever was, which is not massively high, but it's too high.
What foods are the biggest contributors?
Oh, fatty foods, chips. chips. So my favorite meal would be steak and chips. so don't be and biscuits and cakes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also the cardiovascular exercise is very important, which I wasn't doing. So if you do your cardiovascular exercise, if you're doing your 150, 160 minutes, so what I do now is I do twice a week. I would do a 30-minute jog on a Wednesday night, and I do a park run pretty much every Saturday morning. And I try and do my park run around 30, 31 minutes, which is not too hard but not too slow. And I find it keeps my weight down, and I feel it's just keeping my heart working.
Yeah.
And then I do my weights in between. So I'd be highly recommending do your walking, keep an eye on your cholesterol, watch the diet. And if you're male over 50, go and get your PSA checked. Yeah. And if it's high, go and do something about it.
Yeah. What about maintenance? Like looking after yourself routinely? Because I think we are just naturally, I'm not sore, I'm not injured, or if I play sport or whatever, I'm okay.
Right, so I'm big into fitness, especially weight training. So I'm reading some books at the minute on Soviet weight training systems.
On what?
On Soviet weight training.
Soviet as in...
Soviet Russia. Is before Russia. So Russia was actually only part of the Soviet Union. Right, yeah. Soviet Union was the whole state. They were unbelievably good at weightlifting. Unbelievably good. It was an era where drugs were massively being used, but they were also being used in the West, but the Russians were still ahead of everybody else. So they do two things different. Now, Russia don't do it anymore, but they did it in the Soviet Union. Don't forget, Soviet Union was a dictatorship, so they controlled everything. So they have a thing called morning exercise. So the Russian name is Zaryadka. So what they did every morning is they had a broadcast, and they recommended the whole population, all the school children and all the athletes do 4 exercises for 10 minutes every morning. They did a squat, they did a sit-up, they did a press-up, and they did some type of a dip or a pull-up. And the recommendation is you would do, this is where they differ from the West. In the West, we train to failure. So when you were training for athletics, you were training hard to failure. That's not the way they do it in the Soviet Union. What they do is they work at about 70 to 80% of your maximum, but they do it for longer. So they want you, if you can do 10 press-ups, they want you to do 5 press-ups, but 3 cycles. Do that in the morning. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to build up a little bit of fitness, a little bit of volume and low intensity. Whereas we in the West, we tend to do low volume but very high intensity. So you say your days in training, you would have been doing very, very high intensity work. That's not how they would train in the Soviet Union at all. What would I recommend? So patients that come to me, since I had the prostate cancer, I probably should have explained this. One of the things after I finished treatment is I spoke to a specialist and said, what about any naturopathic treatments, any natural treatments? Is there any problem with that? He said, as long as you have the radioactive seeds, uranium seeds, and that's burning the tumour, you can do whatever you want. They won't interfere with it. So it was actually Sheila bought it for me for my birthday. I went out to one of the top natural health centres in the world. It's out Hippocrates Health Institute. It's in West Palm Beach in Florida. So I went out there, and basically for 3 weeks they put you on a completely raw food diet, and they clean your whole system out. So when you come in the first day, they take a blood sample, they check you for any toxins, for any metals, for any infections. So their goal is weekly, they'll recheck your blood. Their goal is to detox and cleanse your system. Hippocrates is basically where wheatgrass started. So wheatgrass, I don't know if you've heard of it, but wheatgrass would be very popular here in Inishowen. It'll be a particular type of grass that you juice, and you drink the juice every morning. And it does contain a thing called B17, which is commonly called laetrile. But B17 is thought to slow down the growth of cancer cells. So from that day, I went out to Hippocrates, which was 2010. I take wheatgrass every morning.
Is that green stuff?
Yeah, it's that green, horrible stuff that you drink every morning. It's very good for you.
Yes.
And I say it is very high in B17, which is called laetrile. And laetrile, You cannot buy lateral on the open market. It's illegal to sell it. It's illegal to treat cancer unless you're a medical professional. You can get it in the black market in certain countries, but you cannot get it in this country. But it's very high in wheatgrass. So since that, so my routine will be in the morning after I go to the bathroom, I take a shot of wheatgrass and a glass of water. And then I'd have a little exercise routine for 10 minutes that I do for my back and for any ailments that I have. So I would do that pretty much every morning.
Stretching's very good in the morning.
Every morning.
They say that's
I
like
don't miss.
It contributes to a longer life.
Absolutely. I never miss a morning.
What is it in stretching that contributes to a long life? Like just stretching? They said that in itself. I understand you're stretching your muscles, like, but...
Right. So basically we have an immune system. So what our immune system does, it fights infection. Then it carries any waste products to your lymphatic system. So with the stretching, what you're doing is you're pumping the lymphatic system. So you're bringing circulation around the body and you're pumping the waste products out of the body. So movement is good for us. Movement is good. That's what the stretching is encouraging. Yes. So it's in stretching is encouraging lymphatic drainage, which again is a big buzzword at the minute. But basically, that's what you're doing. You're getting the lymph circulating around the body.
Right. Yeah, because I don't know the mechanics of it, but...
Well, I say the lymph drainage is basically the toxins being removed from the body, and basically then you have the blood circulating around the body. But the lymph would be, if you have bad infection, you'd notice under your throat there. Yeah. So that's the waste products accumulating there. So you want that to drain and be processed out of the body.
Isn't that where they create the antibodies too in your lymph nodes?
They would create the... Yeah, now again, we're getting very technical now. So
I'm not a doctor now.
So there's 40 years since I did this. We've been chatting about T lymphocytes. So basically, that would be your cells that would fight infection.
Yes.
So they would be processed there.
Yes. I've had an infection before, and it's easy, they swell up.
Oh, they really do swell up. And again, under the armpits, and again in the groin. That's where the main lymph glands. So movement.
Yeah. So but the stretching isn't, it is movement, but it's not, it's kind of like a slow movement. But
it's encouraging.
Yeah.
And it's also improving circulation. So we would have, one of the foundations of osteopathy is blood heals. So blood is bringing nutrients to the cells, and that lets the cells regenerate. And then the waste products is brought away. So blood heals.
Yeah. What would be the most common, say, I don't know, issue or people come to you with?
With me?
Yeah.
So I pretty much, as an osteopath, we're pretty much trained to treat everything. I discovered early on that it's nearly impossible to treat everything, so I specialise in low back pain. So I would treat mainly people with low back pain, and what I would particularly experience that now would be treating chronic disc issues. So there would be a protocol to treating disc issues. I would have used pretty much the same protocol this last 15, 20 years, and I would say it's probably 95% successful. Right. Not successful in everyone, but pretty much everyone.
Why do typically people come with a lower sore back?
Right. So
is there a pattern there?
Very much a pattern. So the main muscle in your spine would be one called your multifidus. So it's the deepest muscle in the spine which attaches to the spinous process. It's your stability. When we sit, your multifidus switches off. So anybody who does a lot of sitting has got a weak multifidus. So straight away you've got an imbalance there. We have 24 discs in the body, which are basically shock absorbers. So when we're standing, the pressure in the disc would be called neutral, which would be 100%. But when you sit in a soft seat, the pressure in the lower discs increases to 275%. So now we've got weak muscles, and we've now got extreme pressure on the discs at the bottom. Over a period of time with disc compression, the disc will eventually start to tear. And when they start to tear, you'll get quite severe spasms and pain in the low back. You will always get warning. You will generally get plenty of warning at least a year or two out before an event. That's when you need to be going to getting seen to and get it looked about. Where I come in, I do a thing called manipulation, which is basically if the joint is compressed, I can decompress the joint to give the disc space. The disc will rehydrate, and then I'll give you rehabilitation exercise to strengthen the disc. Generally, it takes cartilage around 6 weeks to repair. If you do your rehab exercises, which are mainly a thing called McKenzie exercises, pretty much guaranteed, unless there's a major tear in the disc will repair within 6 to 12 weeks, and you will be back functioning pretty normally again. What we then encourage would be maintenance. Just pop in 2-3 times a year. Let us check the back, see what's moving, free off any restrictions. But the main reason to get you back is to encourage you to keep at your exercises. Because pretty much everybody stops the exercise after 6 months. Pretty much everyone. Once you stop the exercise, the program unfortunately starts again, the whole cycle. So you have the weakness, you have the compression, then you cough or sneeze, and the disc starts to tear again. So we're back in trouble again.
Yeah. So I sit at my desk.
So you're a prime candidate.
I am. Well, I'd like to think hopefully that doesn't happen. but I exercise.
Which is great.
So, but just by playing sport, does that counteract? Was that going to take away from me sitting all the time?
Yes and no. So one of the principles of osteopathy is structure governs function. So if your spine is properly aligned and properly working, the muscles will fire and work better. But if there's an injury, like an old injury to a knee or an ankle or the pelvis, you're going to have compensation. Now, the body will deal with the compensation for a period of time, but eventually the body will then break down. So unless you really know where your imbalance is, general sport like football and Gaelic and running will not address those imbalances. Now, one of the best exercises ever, and it has been used for hundreds of years to treat back pain, has been freestyle swimming. So one of the functions of freestyle swimming, it is basically strengthens your multifidus muscle. Breaststroke doesn't do it, the backstroke doesn't do it, but the freestyle does. So the front crawl strengthens your multifidus, which vast majority of people, if they do that 2-3 times a week, it really will prevent most back pain. And that's where yoga and Pilates and things are very good, because they target all these muscles. Yeah.
Well, like, thankfully I don't have any lower back pain. There has been times or moments, but actually I drive a lot, so I'm on the road. I notice I'm getting pains in my legs.
Yes.
And they're fucking sore. they're here though. They're underneath. They're behind the hamstrings.
So the theory in that again would be very well established. Your pelvis has a 42-degree angle. It's not designed flat. It has a 42-degree angle. So basically, your car seat, if possible, rise it. So the higher the car seat, it encourages that forward angle. The car seat has a safety feature where the seat actually doesn't tilt forward. For a safety feature, it tilts actually backwards to stop you going into the pedals. So the higher you can have your car seat, the better.
Yeah, and I assume more forward.
Well, the more upright.
Yeah.
The more upright.
I do sit upright, but I don't know, just...
No, get it up. Get the seat up. And again, almost nobody sits properly, okay? So basically, when you go to sit, the first thing you should do is put your backside into the back of the seat and then sit in. So backside in and then sit in. Yeah. What we all do is we all put our backside on the seat and then lean back.
Yeah. I do try to be conscious of it, What about other types of exercise? Are there other types of methods that are beneficial, even just to general health, that are easy?
Well, again, weight training. You can't beat weight training. Now, probably the most dangerous exercise is the best exercise. So in our body, we would have two chains. You have your anterior chain and your posterior chain. Most fellas and girls that go to the gym, they work on the aesthetic muscles, which is your anterior chains. That's your biceps, your pecs, your quads.
Why is that?
Well, I wonder why that is. Now, so what you're looking for is balance. Now, a deadlift works pretty much all your posterior chains. So it works calves, hamstring, glutes, low back, upper back, traps, neck. Gets everything. So if you do a proper deadlift, and everyone is doing deadlifts with too heavy a weight, you round the back. So if you're doing proper deadlifts, you're massively activating the posterior chain. So it's the one exercise.
Full body,
It's full body. So considered another full body exercise would be squat, but it's working mostly the quads. So it'd be fairly quad dominant. And then the bench press would be pec dominant. But for low back pain, the exercise they recommend is one called a rack pull. So when you're doing a deadlift from a raised surface, you don't have to bend forward so much. So you basically have the bar around knee height, hold it long in your arms, hinge, straighten up, fire the glutes. You're activating the whole posterior chain. But again, everyone does it too heavy. Do it with an empty bar. Do it with a kettlebell. Do it with dumbbells. Do, say, 3 sets of 5 and just do it every second day, and gradually your back will strengthen.
Sometimes I'm afraid of, I don't do much gym work. I started doing calisthenics earlier this year.
Brilliant.
I actually
Brilliant.
really enjoyed
Absolutely brilliant.
because I was doing jiu-jitsu and I found the two of them went really well
The
together.
calisthenics fantastic.
Yeah, because it's all...
pull-ups are a big part. Pull-ups are a big part of it.
I definitely felt a lot of strength, but I started playing Gaelic again and I wasn't able to do both. But I really like it. Do you know what I like about it? I felt like, because it was just easy to go to a bar and you just do weights, your body weight, you know. But I kind of wasn't so sure about the is it, what do you call it, the back squat, is it, or just the squat in general? I'd always be afraid of the lower back.
The squat,
like getting the I suppose the posture right, you know.
Well, from an ergonomic point of view, not many people do it, but we would be recommending more a front squat. So it's basically where the bar is held here and the shoulders at the front. Like so you're not loading the back. The problem with the back squat is all the weight's going through the base of the spine.
Yes.
And again, one of the problems with the back squat is that you do a thing called a butt wink. So when you're down at the very base, that's called in the hole. It's difficult to get out of it. So a lot of people tilt the pelvis to get out, so all the strain goes through the low back. Yeah. So again, the advice that I'd be giving to people, unless you're a power lifter, don't go too low. So the saying is ash to grass. You don't need to go ash to grass. You don't need to do it.
That's purposely why, because it's like I felt like it hurt my back.
It's too low. It's too low. It's too hard to get out of the hole. It's very difficult to get out of the hole. You have to be very strong.
The Japanese method you mentioned to me before too.
That's
for like.
So recent studies in Japan for cardiovascular health, they're recommending a thing called interval walking. They call it Japanese walking, but it's now been they're now changing that name to interval. So what they recommend is 3 minutes fast, 3 minutes slow. That gives you 6 minutes for 5 cycles. They're recommending that pretty much 5 days a week. So what you're doing is you're getting your cardiovascular work, you're pushing the heart hard, then you're relaxing. You're pushing hard, you're letting it recover. They're finding fantastic benefits now from cardiovascular health for convalescent. People are recovering very well from it. And it's actually something I would do myself when I would jog. I would jog, walk. And I find I'm much, much easier to recover and very, very few aches and pains afterwards. So I'd highly recommend interval walking for people out walking.
For what period of time?
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. So 5 cycles of 6, 3 fast, 3 slow. Now, fast means fast, but slow means take your time.
Like fast is going as fast as you can.
Yeah, go fast. But you want to stimulate the heart. You want to stimulate the whole system. And then you want it to recover. Then stimulate again. So it'd be very similar to high-intensity work, which is very popular at the minute. So you're pushing the body very hard, let it recover. Very hard, recover. It's given the body a fantastic boost.
Yeah. Have you heard the studies about people who play racket sports live long lives?
No, I haven't seen that. I can understand it. I haven't seen it.
Apparently, because racket sports are very social. So apparently the social dynamic is what contributes. That's one factor, but also I think it's to do with the movement as well.
Well, again, now one of the highest rated sports for children would be basketball, and the reason that basketball is because it needs cross coordination. So racket sport would be very similar.
It's the coordination.
It's the cross coordination.
Yes.
So it's anything that involves cross coordination massively stimulates the nervous system, which is very, very good for the system.
So when you say cross coordination, what exactly is that?
Well, basically hand-to-eye coordination. So anything involves 2 different limbs. So ball's moving, hand is moving, the eye is trying to follow it.
Yes.
Very, very, very good.
So you're activating the brain.
That's fantastic. Have you have a young child?
I do, yeah.
What age?
He's 3, nearly 4.
Well, just for a bit of fun, give him a ball and ask him to bounce the ball. Young children have not really developed a cross coordination. I couldn't tell you what age they do. So when a young child bounces the ball, they'll hold the ball, they'll bounce, they'll hear the noise, and they'll look down at the noise. So they're completely out of sync. It's actually very funny to watch.
Yeah.
But as they get a bit older, then the coordination comes in.
It's very interesting. He's been playing football since he could walk.
Oh, brilliant.
So his coordination is
brilliant.
amazing.
Brilliant. That's great.
Yeah, it's good to see. Yeah, so I'd like to think that he
Yeah.
will maybe enjoy sport or play a bit when he gets older. But
So when you say that there, let me just throw in another point. Like I was in the gym, I had the radio on this morning, and there was an expert talking about cardiovascular health, and they're doing a lot of studies now, and the studies appear to bear it out that one of the indicators for cardiovascular health is loneliness. So you mentioned the social aspect there. Apparently, loneliness is one of the factors.
Yeah. I've heard studies about loneliness contributing to not living as long too.
Yeah.
Makes sense because we're social creatures.
Yeah.
You know.
So a couple of points that I would like to cover. Say I've been involved in fitness and health for a long period of time. So two things that I would like to see, I would massively recommend. One would be first aid or CPR training in secondary schools. I think it really should be included as a science subject. For my own work, I have to do a first aid course legally every 2 years, and I find it of enormous benefit, absolutely enormous benefit. I've been on a number of occasions now where somebody has fainted or collapsed. Once you're training and once you know what you're doing, you don't panic, you know what to do. It's an awful help. So I'd highly recommend that for all secondary school children. And then the second thing, if it would be at all possible, with car safety and car driving learning skills, if we could include it in our national schools or secondary schools. Myself and Ryan were talking earlier, like in Japan now, what they do is with the primary school children, they take them and they reenact an accident. And it's very profound and it's very effective. And I think that something like that could be easily included in our school curriculum here. Okay.
Totally agree. And you know what? I keep saying it. I must learn first aid. Something that I don't have.
It's so simple. It's honestly so simple. You could learn it now. You need to do a proper course is approximately 5 hours, but you could learn CPR in 30 minutes to an hour.
And do you think it would be hard for, say, the government to implement that as part of the curriculum?
No. Well, my son Connor was born in 95. So Connor, in his transition year, they did a first aid course down in Skullborough, and he still remembers that. So that's 14, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So they are doing it in some schools.
Yeah.
I have a niece who's a teacher in a school, and she has these transition years, and that is one of the things that she's doing in her school. But I think it should be standard.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I don't think it's not like it's a big. It doesn't take a lot of time.
5 hours.
Yeah,
five hours for like I have to do a course, so I have to do a certified course. So that's 5 hours. The shortest one you can do is 5 hours. You can do one for 2 days, but the one I do is 5 hours.
Yeah. So it could be easily integrated to any school program.
And sure, if it saves one life.
Yeah, exactly. I've often thought about it. Like if I was an accident, I wouldn't be any good.
Brian,
Do you know what I mean?
Brian.
I'd be on 999. Like, what I do here?
Well, let me give you an example. Now, this happened a few years ago. Myself and Sheila were up to town. We came out of the town. We were going back down to get a taxi, and we came across somebody had collapsed on the main street. So I went over to see were they okay, and there was another girl there who had first aid training. So I spoke to her, and she said that's fine. So two of us, he was breathing, so we put him onto the recovery position. He was fine. Now there were two Garda there, and I said to one of the Garda, "Well, could you not help with with CPR or recovery position?" And he said, "We don't do CPR. We don't do first aid courses." And they don't as part of the training. Now, maybe it's changed recently. I say that's a few years ago.
Yeah.
And they're going to be the first people on most accidents.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, yeah. Right.
But no, he didn't have any first aid training. Right. And it really, like the guy had collapsed and he had hit his head, but he was conscious and he was breathing. So the protocol there is check the airways, breathe, no problem, put him into recovery position and call the ambulance.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what are the basics?
That is, put him into recovery position. Yeah. And if he's unconscious, clear the airways, start CPR.
Yeah.
Call for a defibrillator.
Yeah.
And most defibrillators now, they prompt you what to do. So you just turn it on and they'll tell you what to do.
Yes. Okay.
But if they're conscious, breathing, recovery position.
Yeah, okay. Definitely need to get myself through the course. Bosco, it's been an absolute pleasure here today.
Thank you very much.
I've really, really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you.
What about yourself?
I enjoyed it, yes.
Good.
Less stressful than I thought.
Anything else there?
No, that's great. Thank you very much. That's everything covered.
Good. Well, look, if anyone wants to reach out to you,
As I say, I work as an osteopath. Unfortunately, my book is full, so I'm not taking on any new patients. But if you go on, I do have a Facebook page called Bosco Reid Osteopathic Clinic, or you can contact me. I also have a private Facebook page. It's Column Reid.
very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.